So I'm very happy this evening to see you. The policy is always a very boring topic. Yeah. But today is not kind of knowledge demonstration, but I want to tell you my story about where I come from. I come to Oregon with what? What I did here, what I see, what did I learn, and what I can bring home. Very simple. And here, where I come from, Vietnam. Vietnam and Oregon, we share the same Pacific, but we are half globe away, and Vietnam is in tropic. Very simple. But I came here with very bad news, that Vietnam is one of the most vulnerable to climate change. And if you look at that map, that you can see that with around sea level rise, we will lose a lot of valuable land. In the north, it's the Red River Delta River, and in the south, it's the Mekong River Delta, where we produce most of rice, and Vietnam is the second largest after Thailand's export production of rice, and we lose all that land. And you see that picture, it's actual picture of Red River in Hanoi today. You can see with no water. So believe me, if the Columbia River in Vietnam would look like this, believe me. So we are in trouble, so we have to act. And one of the action is to keep the forest. And to keep the forest, we have so many different tools and mechanisms. And one of them is those is payment. We call it payment for forest environment services, or in short, we call it P-FES. So I am a consultant to the government to design and to revise it. Until now, it worked quite successful. How it works? If you look at that, you can the policy bar. You can see that the regulation says that hydropower plant, water plant, fish farming, and also tourist company who use the benefit from the forest have to pay more or less 2% of their bill. And to pay to whom? Pay to the forest owner for them to keep the tree. But because there are so many, so they cannot pay directly. So they pay to the Vietnam Forest Fund, VNFF, and Vietnam Forest Fund will pay twice a year to all forest owners to keep their tree on. So the reason is that we can keep 45% of our forest according to that models, but we still have some shortage. That means that benefit only the forest in the watershed, of course, because it's related to water, and no carbon, yes. So that is the reason why we want to see that what internationally people here deal with the carbon. I mean, from the policy point of view. And if you look at the policy point of view, so we see the framework here that I just see on that flow of the funds, where it go, what it for, and who it impact. So the policy is on behind this mechanics. And that's why I come to that fellowship for 6 months. I meet a lot of people. Many of them are here today. I come to a lot of places. You cannot count it because it's so many. And I read a lot of documents. And I learn a lot. I see a lot of modern initiatives and example related to carbon in the US. But because of short of time, so I can just go to very shortly to 3 of them. One of them definitely is California Cap and Trade. You are more or less hear about that. And for some people who not very clear about that, I will explain how it works. Very simply, the government put a cap on emissions. And big emitter have to commit for that to reduce emitting. And if you still above, you have to pay by buying allowance or credit. And if you go below, you can send the credit back to get money. So by that way, the company, I mean the emitter, commit and compete to reduce emissions. And in the same time, the government can get money by selling the allowance to get money. So in the right side of the bar, you have the reduction of the emission. To the right side of the bar, you can see that where money go, this go mostly to green project. We call it green project. And interesting here, I can see that 25% of the fund is for the disadvantaged community. What's interesting to learn from that. And you can see it already spent 2 billion, quite a lot of money for the green project. You can see a list of many projects can call it green. And interesting thing that California is the 5th largest economy in the world, the state alone. So they have many emitters to pay for. Here you can see that 450 largest emitter. And work quite well. And now 11 other states in the United States try to follow this model, but with more or less that modification, because the condition in different states are different from the California. So go to example number 2 is about carbon tax. Very simple. Tax. It's a tax. The tax, that means that if you emit 1 ton of CO2 equivalent, you pay a tax on that. And because you have to pay tax, so the emitter try to reduce that or convert it to the clean energy. It's very definitely. And all the tax money go to the government. Very simple. And here the Treasury Secretary says that, yes, we have a lot of money to spend for innovation, spend for the new energy, and to create jobs. But it is what it said. But I believe that with that money, it's 740 billion for 10 years, a huge amount, would go to the government, but not necessary to the green project. I believe that. Yeah. So go on. Very close to us, Portland Clean Energy Fund, so you may more or less see about that on around the Max station and also the grocery shop, the signatures collected. In the past, they call it the Clean Energy Community Benefit Initiative. So we can see that clearly it is community benefit and how it works. Very simple. They target the retailer, last one, with more than 1 billion revenue in the US, or 500,000 revenue in Portland, like Walmart or Postco, or something like that, big one, to try to get 1% from them. And money is go to the in-city renewable energy and job creation. That means for community, for the small project, is seen again the green project. So look at the policy bar, you see it's mostly for the green project to the right side of the bar. It's nothing related to the reduction of the emissions. So if you put on the moderns, here you can see very interesting pictures that most of the modern are about how to spend money to green project, to the forest owner, to the household, to community, and to just mostly just how to, but very little on focus on reduction of emissions. But at least you can see 3 of them. And one of them is a tax, is about the government. So if you see that, you can learn a lot of things that I think that I can have something to bring home. Here that means that you try to price the carbon. By pricing carbon, you can ask, you can encourage emitter or polluter to reduce their emission or to convert to clean energy. And how the fund used? Exactly, you should spend for green and clean project, and for the conservation and preservation of the forest, and to encourage the consumption, the product with a very lower carbon footprint. And where you get money from, you should target the large corporate entity, the large emitter, because they pollute and they have to pay. And then you have to target the government budget, of course, because the government have to pay, have to take care of the environment. NGO, of course, we can get it from the corporate retail chains. Yes, one very interesting model, and from offset obligations. This is where we get money from. And to make all that happen, we should have a good rationale. The rationale here is justice. You pollute, you solve the problem. Just the society, not we people do that. That is number one. And the second rationale is to benefit the larger community as possible and to protect the environment. So the people say that the adventure is to go to see the world and to learn what you see. So in the few weeks I will be back Vietnam, I will tell to my fellows, this is what I see, it is what I learned. Thanks to World Forestry Institute, Merlo Foundation, and thanks to people like you here. I love you. Thank you very much.